You wake up groggy, rubbing your eyes as you glance at your phone. Monday. Ugh. The weight of the work week settles over you like a thick fog. Just 5 more days until Saturday. You trudge to the kitchen, muttering something about needing more coffee, only to realize, wait, why is it called Monday anyway? Who decided this particular hellscape deserved its own name? Tuesday creeps in, barely distinguishable from its predecessor. Then Wednesday, hump day, midweek purgatory. Thursday, the warm-up act for Friday. And finally, the crown jewel, Saturday, a day of rest and revelry before Sunday resets the cycle. 7 days, week after week, marching forward in an endless loop. But who carved this rhythm into our lives? Why 7? And why these names? Well, let's rewind the calendar way, way back to find out why. Welcome back to Lexiconned, the podcast where words don't just tell stories, they are the story. I'm TJ, and today we're unraveling the mystery behind the 7 days of the week. We all learned the days of the week in elementary school, but I don't remember any explanation for why we have 7, where their names came from, and why is Wednesday spelled like somebody sneezed right in the middle of writing it. Well, let's take the week apart, one day at a time. The 7-day week is ancient, I mean really ancient. It's older than the Romans, it's older than the Norse gods, and older than much of recorded history. It goes back at least 4,000 years to Mesopotamia, where the Babylonians were obsessed with the number 7. They observed 7 celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, and 5 visible planets, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. Now this planetary pattern influenced their calendar, and the idea spread like a good meme across civilizations. That's a reference to episode 3. If you haven't already, maybe go back and give it a listen. Now the Romans later adopted the 7-day structure from the Egyptians, who themselves had borrowed it from the Babylonians. Then, with the rise of Christianity, Islam, and the spread of the Julian calendar, the 7-day week became firmly embedded in European, Islamic, and later global culture. But where did the actual names of the days come from? Well, let's take a closer look. Unsurprisingly, Sunday is named after, yep, you guessed it, the sun. In the original Roman calendar, it was the Latin dies solis, meaning day of the sun. And when the Roman Empire expanded, this wasn't really an issue. A lot of cultures saw the sun as divine, from the Roman Sol Invictus to Norse mythology Sol. Now, there are some languages who have variations to this. For example, Spanish has domingo, which derives from the Latin dies Dominicus, or the Lord's Day. And after Sunday, we have Monday. And after the sun comes the, right again, moon. The Latin dies lunae became Old English monendag, meaning moon's day. And the moon, much like the sun, was an essential celestial marker, governing tides and natural cycles, often associated with goddesses like the Greek Selene and the Norse Menai. Now on to Tuesday, and this is where things start to get fun. Tuesday is named after Tiw, spelled T-I-W. It's an Old English war god linked to the Norse god Tyr. The Romans originally named this day after Mars, Dies Martis, their god of war, but the Germanic tribes swapped in their own battle-hardened deity. If you speak French or Spanish, you'll notice that Tuesday is Mardi or Martes, directly from Mars. Moving on to Wednesday, which was Woden's Day, this is where spelling becomes a problem. Wednesday is named after Woden, or Odin, the Norse Allfather, god of wisdom, poetry, and war. The Romans had originally dedicated the day to Mercury, Dies Mercurii, but the Germanic tribes followed suit by swapping Mercury for their own wisdom deity. And have you ever wondered why Wednesday isn't pronounced Wednesday? Well, that's thanks to some linguistic laziness and slurring over time. We just sort of mush it all together. And now we're on to Thursday. And as you might have guessed, Thursday is named after Thor, that hammer-wielding Norse god of thunder who's made a booming comeback with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Romans had originally assigned this day to Jupiter, Dies Lovis, the king of the gods, and also a thunder god. The Norse equivalent was Thor, so he got that day instead. The French still call it Jeudi, after Jupiter, while we get to keep that Viking twist. Now, Friday is named after Frigg, Odin's wife and the goddess of love, wisdom, and destiny. The Romans had originally linked the day to Venus, Dies Veneris, the goddess of love and beauty. Many Romance languages still follow that pattern, from the French vendredi and Spanish viernes, but in Germanic traditions, Frigg was the closest equivalent, so she won the day. Saturday. Unlike the rest, Saturday kept its Roman origins intact. It comes from Dies Saturni, or Saturn's Day, named after the Roman god of time, wealth, and agriculture. This is the only English weekday name that still directly references its Latin counterpart. But why 7? Well, it stuck. Other cultures did experiment with different lengths of the week. Egyptians briefly had a 10-day week. The Soviet Union tried 5-day and 6-day weeks. And revolutionary France had a 10-day system. But none of those took hold. Religious traditions, including Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, reinforced that 7-day cycle, making it a global standard. Now, many world languages still use variation of the Roman names. Latin-based tongues like Spanish, French, and Italian retain the planetary and religious connections. Meanwhile, some Asian languages often have similar celestial associations. In Japanese, for instance, Monday is Getsuyobi, meaning Moon Day, and Tuesday is Kaiobi, meaning Fire, Mars Day, and so on. Now, some of you may have already known all of this, and some of you may have just learned it. But from an English language perspective, our 7-day week is a prime example of how we've managed to blend astronomy, mythology, and the Roman, Norse, Germanic languages with a dash of historical happenstance to create words. To our French and Spanish-speaking friends, I'm sincerely sorry. So the next time you complain about Monday or look forward to Friday, just remember, you're speaking the echoes of gods and planets, of warriors and lovers, of cultures that shape the modern world. And that wraps up this week on Lexiconned. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of the week, well, don't forget to follow and leave a review. It really helps us keep the episodes coming week after week. See you next time. As always, Lexiconned is written, recorded, and produced by me, your logophile companion, TJ Martin. Sources and additional credits are in the show notes. Thanks for listening.